Kirk, welcome along to another one of my videos, and it's really good to have you along. And today we're going to have a sneak peek in a way at one of the items that turned up in Bachmann's 2017 new model announcements. And the eagle-eyed going through the list may have spotted the Mark 1 horse boxes. And these are going to be coming into the range in green for the southern region and also maroon for the eastern region. But I thought that we'd take a real sneak peek at these because I have available here that very model, sort of, well, kind of. It is the Mark 1 horse box that's going to be introduced into the main range for the very first time later on this year. But over the last few years, it has been available through, if you can see on the end there, this is through TMC, the Model Centre, and it's this particular example is 38525Z, and this is in the Eastern Region Maroon. Notwithstanding that it's going to get a different number, this is the model that will be available on general release. So let's pop this bad boy open and see what it is that we have to look forward to. We've got a pretty much standard Bachmann packaging. There's nothing really special about this. One thing that does strike me here, I haven't actually applied them, but there's an awful lot of additional details here. Things like the brake stretchers, parts of the brake rigging for going between the W-irons, and also some buffer beam brake detail. Now it remains to be seen how much of this will make it to the main release model, because as you can see here, unless you're putting it into a display cabinet, a lot of this stuff is just detail for the sake of detail. Let's get this out here, get some of the packaging out of the way. And there we can see we've got our Mark 1 British Rail horse box, and these were built by British Rail to cater for, in the main, things like race traffic going to and from some of the big race meets. However, as a design of non-passenger carrying coaching stock, they weren't actually anywhere near as long-lived as some of the other Mark 1 designs. A lot of this traffic was being lost to the roads, so they didn't actually last all that long. And indeed, I'm not even sure whether any of these lasted long enough to be painted in the BR Blue livery. After they were withdrawn from use, some of them did find a little bit of further use, for example, being converted into generator vans and the like, but they were hacked about a lot and wouldn't have actually resembled the model as you see here. Now, those of you with a very long memory may remember the Hornby 00 model that came out in the 60s with openable and posable doors and a little model horse that went inside it. Now that was pretty crude by today's standards, but it's all that any modeller really had ready to run until this model appeared from Bachmann. So we can see here the model is actually really nicely executed, and as per a lot of the Bachmann models, we've got some very nice separately applied detail. Now, unlike the Hornby 00 and latterly Wren versions of this prototype, the doors don't actually open, and if anything, I think that is actually much better, because the problem with opening doors is they're very much a gimmick, and in these small scales the compromises that have to be made to make them work and not actually just fall to pieces in your hands just make them very chunky with oversized hinges. So I'm really glad that Bachmann didn't try and follow that kind of pattern. We've got the actual profile on these captured perfectly. They're built to a similar profile to the Mark 1 rolling stock, and indeed they would have run most likely at the head of trains made from that such rolling stock. Now, in terms of surviving examples, it's actually, given how short-lived these wagons were in real life, there's actually quite a few that have managed to survive. There's one at the National Railway Museum which passed straight into the National Collection, but then another was also brought out of service and ended up preserved at Quainton Road at the Buckingham Railway Centre. There was also a number of these wagons that passed into departmental service and then were subsequently bought and restored back into use, not necessarily as the horse boxes that you see here, but a lot of them have found further use at preserved lines as small disabled facilitating carriages. Underneath we have the really good underframe detail that Bachmann have started putting on a lot of its wagons and coaching stock. The couplings, because this is quite a long wheelbase wagon, have the same self-centering mechanism that the newer coaches have, and they work quite well, except on this example, one of the springs has pinged off whatever cam mechanism is inside, and I haven't actually plucked up the courage to pull this apart. Most of the time it lives in a display cabinet, so I've learnt to live with that. All of these details are separately applied. We've got some really fine footboards there and the steps. We've got the brake rigging. We've got the vacuum cylinder and also battery box. So it really is pretty good stuff there. And with a side-on profile, seeing the light through all of that, there really is nothing to criticise. Now, in one of my videos taken at the Shildon Railway Museum, we've actually got footage of me talking alongside one of these. So it's something that I can actually compare this to the full-size one reasonably well. And we've got a really good representation of the groom's compartment in the middle there, with the windows, and what was actually in there was a big bench seat for the groom and other attendants to the racehorses that would be in this main section here with the big doors. We also have a toilet cubicle area in there for the groom and any other passengers that were riding with the horse. But then at the end here we can see more double doors, and that provided access in for a place where tack could be stored, things like saddles, bridles, that kind of thing. The wagon itself is not fitted with any kind of gangway connectors, so when running in a train, you would be in there for the duration of the journey, hence the need for that separate toilet cubicle. What's interesting about the full-size wagons is that the floors were built from a particular type of timber that's impervious to the ravages of horse urine. We can see on the ends we've got these separately applied wires that represent the handles there, and the steps up to the roof level. The buffers themselves don't compress, but as I always say with these, it's unnecessary to have buffers that are sprung, so really it doesn't bother me in the slightest. We've got a full complement of the roof torpedo vents on there, and these do appear to be separately applied detail. When I'm looking closely, they are very fine and nicely applied. There's no sign of misalignment at all. The actual text on the side, we've got their return to Newmarket and the numbers. They are all very crisply applied. There's no sign of bleed over at all with the tempo printing. The actual door handles on there, I'm looking very closely, and to be honest with you, I think they are moulded on as part of the main moulding, but it doesn't detract from the model, and I really like that. I'm not a great fan of detail for the sake of detail if it doesn't actually add anything. So everywhere where you see rendered over with the brass colour to give a representation of the handles is just part of the moulding, and it is very nicely realised. We do have a few separately applied details in the form of these handrails at the side of the door, and they are nicely done, and we can see air through underneath them. The windows, the glazing, they're all flush fitted and is really nicely done. And then we've also got the frosting there as well on the toilet compartment, so that obviously nobody could see in. Overall there, what we've got is an incredibly good model here from Bachmann. Now, it originally appeared, as I said before, in the two different liveries, in the southern region green and the eastern region maroon, as you see here. through TMC, the Model Centre. They produced a good number of different variations, and indeed 2 different diagram numbers of the Mark I horsebox, which to all intents and purposes, outwardly at least, look pretty much similar. These are going to be a welcome addition to the main range. However, the rise in prices from Bachmann has meant that in the intervening period, the main range prices are now comparable to what the special commission premium prices were a number of years ago. However, TMC do still have stocks of these items in most of the deliveries, so if you can't wait for the main range releases from Bachmann, then there's still ample opportunity to go out and get yourself a whole fleet of these wagons up to the same high standard. Anyway, I hope this video has been really good for you. It's really much appreciated that you've taken the time out to watch me doing this box opening and review. Don't forget to like this video, share it too, and also if you're not already subscribed, then tickle that subscribe button and you'll be the first to know about new videos as they go up on the channel. Anyway, until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying take very good care of yourself and bye for now.